Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the New Hampshire Business Show. My name is Chris Pastrana, and today I'm here with Nicole LeGuern from Concord Wealth Management.
Hi, Chris. How
How's
are
it
you?
going?
Hi, everyone.
So, you're actually the first person I've had from Massachusetts on the show, I'm assuming, because your offices are in Mass, right?
Yep, we have an
Where's your
office
branch?
in Waltham, Braintree, working on opening one up in the North Shore this year. But I'm doing a lot of branching out into New Hampshire.
Yeah.
We can get licensed all over, and actually don't live very far from New Hampshire, so that's how I met you.
Yeah. Yeah. And one friends of Kevin, I've had him on the show too, so
Kevin's
it's nice.
great.
It's nice to have people like pop on the show, and I know a lot of people, so it's kind of nice.
That's
So
awesome.
let's talk a little bit about you, because what I would like to say is, I like to use realtors a lot. There's thousands of realtors everywhere. Each one of them has a different story. So let's kind of talk about you and what got into wealth management, kind of the whole deal.
Okay, well, yeah, there's a lot of competition in my field. I guess one of my advantages would be that it's a male-dominated field. So I have the advantage of working with a lot of women because women like to work with other women most times. How did I get into it? Well, I went to school for business. I started immediately just running restaurants because I worked in restaurants my whole childhood since I started working. Then I went into retail management, and I was managing multiple stores all over Connecticut. I lived in Connecticut for 13 years. I had my son, moved back to Massachusetts, and I had to start all over again. And the schedule that I was used to, being able to work nights, weekends, 60 hours a week that I was accustomed to, I couldn't do anymore. So I'm thinking, what am I going to do that fits his schedule where I can still provide a life for him? So I go back into the restaurant business. I started doing management there. I did some cooking. I did some house cleaning, anything I could do to support my son.
Yeah.
I had my resume on monster.com, career builder. I just kept trying to work myself back up to a place where I could live nice and still take care of him and spend time with him and not have to hire people to raise him because I believe in family values. So I'm working this restaurant job, and I keep getting emails from the company, and they're like, we'd like to sit down with you and talk to you. And I was, that's not really for me. I didn't really understand the position. They reached out again, Nicole, I think you'd be a great fit. I found your resume online from 2 years ago. Why don't you come in and talk to us? All right, well, let me look into it a little bit. So I did some research. I looked into the position, and I said, all right, you know what? It's people and numbers. That's what I am. I'm people and numbers. Like I can do this. Let me give it a shot. I'm gonna take a risk. I'm gonna jump in, and I'm gonna try to learn what I can about financial advisory and financial planning. And I did, and I studied my butt off, and I got licensed, and I'm still working on more licenses. And they call it a practice because just like a lawyer or a doctor, you have to constantly keep learning, growing. And this is the same thing. We're like financial doctors. We're constantly have to stay up with the new trends, the new laws, new taxes. So it's a lot. It's learning a lot. It's great. I've been doing it for almost a year now. And where I started, where I am now, is completely mind-blowing how much more knowledge I have and how I'm able to help people. I just hit the ground running. I'm still doing it. I love it. I love helping people. I love being able to work around my son's schedule. I can work from home with him there if I needed to, and it's great.
That's really good.
Thanks.
That's a good lifestyle and approach when you have family. You said you have one son?
I have one son. He's 4. His name's Dustin, and he's the greatest little guy.
Yeah. Because I have 3 kids. I'm on my 4th. It's on the way.
Oh, congrats.
So, yeah. But, trying to build a career around your family without losing all of it is tricky.
It is.
It's difficult.
It is.
So, it's good to find something that kind of fits that,
Definitely.
And it's pretty good. So, first, right off the bat, you had talked about being a woman, and that's a little different in the financial field. Now, do you think men and women handle money differently, like as far as the financial planner side of it? Like, is there an actual difference between female and male?
So I
financial
find
planners?
women are more planners.
Yeah.
Men are more risk takers. They like to have change a lot, whereas women like to have more security. So I find that there's a lot of women I talk to, and they'll say, well, my husband handles the finances. I don't need to do that. Well, you do. You do need to do that because 90% of women end up controlling all of the funds, all of the money at some point in their lives. Women live longer than men. Divorce rate's 50%. Women live in widowhood for 14 years or more. And if they don't know how to handle finances, what are they going to do when that time comes?
Yeah.
So it's all about making sure that they understand how they work and making sure that they have safety nets to fall back on so that they don't end up living in poverty like a lot of people do. What else can I say about that? Single women, working single women are like the biggest growing field right now. They're don't quote me on this, but 40%, there's a growth of 40% of women just booming financially with their incomes, working, business owners. A lot of them are starting businesses more than men now. And then we have the women that are going through divorce, and that's anyone that's been through divorce, they know that's one of the most hardest financial triggering crisis anyone could ever face.
Yeah. It's
a nightmare. I work with a lot of those women too because they don't know what to do, how to handle things, and they find a lot of value in it, and then they like sitting down with another woman to help them with that. Like I said, it's rare to have a woman in my field, and I'm really proud and honored to be able to offer that service to other women.
Yeah, it's really cool because talking my wife's grandmother they're kind of in a similar situation where her grandfather is sick and he's probably going to pass soon, and so all of that burden is going to fall to the grandmother who has no idea how to do any of it. Mm-hmm. And then we get into technology where she has no idea how to even pay some of these bills, and then just like, so I can see those services being good where, especially older generation where you traditionally wouldn't handle those things.
Yes.
And all of a sudden that's thrown at you.
Yes.
It could be pretty overwhelming.
Definitely. Yeah, we see a lot of that too. We'll have women calling us up crying like, my husband passed away. I have no idea what any of this stuff is.
Yeah.
Can you help me? So my job is to just make sure I reach out to as many people as possible so they know there's a resource out there. I believe more in educating people. It'd be great to have 1 million clients and have people that I can work with for the rest of their lives. But if they're not at that point, maybe someday they will be, as long as I know that someone knows that I'm there at any time to help them or give them information, then I feel like that I did my job.
Yeah.
No one should have to live without financial knowledge or education. I don't believe in that. My parents, both of them, live on disability, and they didn't have financial education. And if they did, they probably wouldn't be in the situations they are now. And I see that, and it makes me sad. And my brother, Derek, and I, we have to help them a lot. And it's too bad. So if I can prevent that from happening for, our generation and baby boomers too, that are entering retirement, I love the opportunity.
Yeah.
2008 with a huge stock market crash, people lost, I think the country as a whole lost trillions and trillions of dollars. People that had millions of dollars in 401k plans, more than half their money was gone just from a stock market crash. I know ways around that where people don't have to go through that. And if history does repeat itself like people say it does, then that means there's probably going to be another stock market crash. So
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it happened back in like the 80s. There was a housing market problem.
Yep.
And then again later on. And so we constantly see the same problems because the market kind of has to fluctuate and adjust.
Yep.
And people are like, oh, no, it happened. I'm like, well, yeah, no kidding. So it's kind of funny that maybe we should plan for these things.
Yes. So we always say, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
It's really important to have everything diversified all over so that if something does happen that's financially triggering, a death, a job change, a disability, that you have something else to fall back on. You're not sitting there like, oh, what am I going to do now? So that a lot of my job has to do with that, laying a foundation, protecting people's assets, and then building upon that. We focus a lot on retirement planning, making sure that people aren't just only investing in employer-sponsored plans, but also having funds in other protected accounts too. So if there was something crazy, they'd be all right. It's good to have emergency funds, 3 to 6 months at least, So if there was a loss of a job or someone was hospitalized, they have a safety net there. They wouldn't have to worry for a little while.
Yeah. So yeah, I've had this conversation a few times in the last couple of days, which is cool. I'm glad that someone on my schedule I can actually talk about it with, because I think there's a problem with wealth management just across the board in the country, men and women, where we look at the rising debt across the board, from whether it's school or credit card or whatever. Mm-hmm. So people aren't managing money very well at all.
They're not. And I don't blame them for that, because a big problem that I see that I wish we could change as a whole as a country is financial education. Mm-hmm. I wish there was some kind of mandated high school class that kids could take called Finance 101 or financial education, because they don't have that. And I feel like if they did, a lot of our country wouldn't face that kind of debt, because they would stress credit card debt is one of the worst debts, because they charge you these high interest rates, and we call it the toxic debt, because you pay the minimum on it and the next month you get the bill and it's right back where it started. So when are you going to pay it off? 10, 20 years, and that's how they get people. They suck them in, and people get in these spirals where they just can't ever pay it off. So a lot of my job is helping people pay off student loans, pay off credit cards, and showing them strategic ways. Okay, this is how we're going to do this, and break it down by interest rate. And one by one, we knock everything down. And then eventually we can take the money left over from that's not going to debt anymore and start investing it in them, make retirement, college planning for the kids, investments. But yeah, you're right. The debt problem in this country is huge. And then you look at these student loans too, and some of the rates of them, like 9-10% on a student loan. Like, that's crazy. I feel like if someone wants to go to school and get an education, why are we charging them 9-10% on a loan?
Yeah. So I have a couple thoughts on this, which is always fun, because yes, I think people need to be taught this stuff. I think it should be the parents to do it, but I think we've gotten to a point where the parents probably wouldn't be able to do it either. So, like, I can teach this stuff to my kids because I get it,
Yeah.
I like studying finances. It's boring, but it can be fun too,
Yeah.
Once you actually get the hang of it and you're not afraid of the big terminology, it's important. It's not hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
definitely,
we're probably at a point where the schools probably do need to pick up and teach basic finances, and not just once. This needs to be hammered in time and time again, mm-hmm. across the board. Either teach the parents too. I mean, because I've had conversations with younger people who, you have these types of classes, and then the parents are like, well, that's stupid. That type, you know what I'm talking about? Where they're like, oh, who wants to save money? And they don't, that won't work, that type of mm-hmm. approach, because they don't understand finances themselves either.
People are afraid of what they don't understand.
Yeah. So you create this cycle of, oh, well, my mom told me it was stupid, or my dad told me it was dumb. I don't need to worry about this. And then it's just like, okay, let's just keep getting in debt and problems. And
absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely right on that. It comes from one of the first questions I'll ask someone is, who taught you about finances and what do you know? Mm-hmm. Because people learn from their parents. So if their parents weren't doing those types of things, then they don't know how to do those types of things. So for myself, it was a huge learning curve, but I picked it up right away. Mm-hmm. There's also there was something I wanted to branch off there. A lost train of thought. So there's saving is more of a behavior. So there's people mm-hmm. that save by design, and then people that save by default. So my goal is to help people save by design, live a designed, planned life, so that everything is, you have all your ducks in a row, and mentally you can sleep better at night, have a little more peace of mind, knowing that you have a plan together, it's going to work out, where everything's going, if you want to buy a house in 5 years, that this plan's going to get you there. Not like, well, I have $200 left over from my check this week, I'll just throw it in the bank and we'll see what happens in a couple years. That's saving by default. And in our country, we're taught, pay all your bills first, and whatever is left over, then save it. In a lot of other countries, it's the opposite. They pay themselves first, which is their savings, and mm-hmm. then they pay all their bills. Yeah. So it's kind of trying to just teach people that.
I really like that.
Yeah.
Because we always live up to our means, typically. People like, oh, I have a little bit of extra money, Mom, I'm going to spend it. So they're not saving because they spend what they make. They adjust their lifestyles around how much they make, from their cars all the way down. So
Definitely.
getting to the point where, okay, I pay myself first and then you pay everything else.
Yes.
You can because you'll adjust to living within your means regardless.
Yes.
But then at least you'll have money put away.
Yes. That's it. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Pay yourself first, and then you're right, because people see the number in their bank account. Like, oh, I got a little extra money. I can go afford another pair of shoes, or I want to go out to dinner, and get a nice steak dinner. But if the money's already put away and you don't see it, then you live within your means.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like it. So let's say you get a client. So they come in the door. They know nothing about finances. Where do we start this whole process with them?
Well, I have a process. It's a lot of question asking. It's getting to know them, what they're about, who they are, seeing if who I am fits into their lifestyle too, because everybody's different. And then it comes down to prioritizing their goals. What is the most important thing to you? What do you care about the most? Is it buying a house? Is it retirement? Is it college funding for your kids? Is it protection planning? Is it tax planning? Is it accumulation planning? Sometimes I'll have older people that come in and they want help with wealth distribution, and that's helping them figure out how much money to take out in retirement, when to take it out, making sure they're not going to run out of money in retirement. And we also, I don't know if a lot of firms out there do this. I don't think a lot of them do, but we do help people with estate planning too, and that's making sure that they have, wills in place, guardianship, health proxies, because a lot of people also, they're not educated on knowing how important that stuff is until something happens to a loved one and they're sitting in probate court for 2 to 5 years fighting over their family's assets. But if those pieces are in place, your family doesn't have to go through that, and there's more peace of mind. Your stuff will go to where you want it to go to. So we start there. 1 through 3. What are your goals? If they have more than 3, that's fine. They have less than 3, that's fine. Put them in order. Okay. Then we get all the information we need. A lot of question asking. We depart our ways. I sit down with a team member because, like I said, I'm almost a year in. I'm still newer. So I want to make sure that I'm giving the best trusted and knowledgeable advice to people. So I'll sit down with one of the other guys at the office. We have another girl too. She's great. And she's been doing this about 6 years. And we analyze all the information based off their goals. We come up with a nice big plan for them. And then when they come back in, usually about a week, maybe a little less later, I'll have them come back in, or I'll meet them out wherever they are and show them our ideas. And most people love the ideas. They love it. And at that point, I say, can I help you? Do you want my help? Do you like this plan? Do you want to implement this plan? They say, absolutely. 9 times out of 10, some people aren't ready. So what I would do at that point is I'd have follow-up meetings with them and help them along the way to get to a point where they would be ready. And then we put the plan into place, and then, they're stuck with me for the rest of their lives.
Yes.
So then we have review meetings, every 6 months minimum, make sure that their plan's going okay. If they have any changes made, just make sure they're happy. It's the main goal.
Yeah. Well, that's the point, is to eventually just be able to live without the stresses of money.
Yes.
Because that stress does awful things to marriages, relationships, you name it, health.
Yep.
Like, people don't, I hear a lot, this is a field I like to dabble in every once in a while, and not like professionally or anything, but just personally. And there's a very anti-money kind of thing going on. And I get not wanting to be greedy and just sucked into money all the time, but you can't just like throw out all the basic principles of properly living, like financially healthy.
Yeah.
And I think that's forgotten a lot.
Yes, I agree with you.
And people like, oh, money's awful. We never want anything to do with money, and then they don't realize they're so stressed. Their relationship is stressed because of money. Your job can be impacted.
Yep.
Sleep, which then impacts your job, and it's this whole cycle of.
Yep.
Manage your money. Make sure you're not dying from like I can't afford anything, and then get your life on track.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my little point.
Yeah, it's true. It's so true. They say part of my job too is helping people build themselves up.
Yeah.
So I'll say, you know what, go take extra classes in your field. Self-educate yourself, because the more that you know about your job position or your career is going to help you advance. And when you advance, you make more money. And when you make more money, you have better peace of mind, so that in the future, you're going to be okay. You can do whatever you want. You can go retire and go have a house in Florida. You can go travel the world. You can have dinner with your family every night. So it's really about just helping yourself so that you can build yourself up. And people say money doesn't buy happiness. Well, I mean, the greatest things in life are free. You know, you get love, friendship, family. But if you don't have money to live, it is stressful, like you said, and stress causes health problems. So yes, you do need money, and to just keep rising to the top, keep working on yourself, keep going, you know, and it help to deplete a lot of stress in your life.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And like I said, I just think that's important, because, like I said, I understand that don't be greedy. That's fine, cool, if that's your thing, you know. But you know, just put the importance on money where it's due. You know, you don't need to revolve around your life, but you can. It makes your life very stressful if you don't.
Yeah.
At least understand it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so I'm going to start this new campaign where every client I achieve, 10% of any money I make goes towards a charitable cause.
Right.
And they can either pick a charitable cause that's important to them, or I'm going to donate it to the Huntington's Disease Society of America. My mother has Huntington's disease. So I think that's pretty unique too, and I'm excited to start doing that.
Yeah.
And how do financial planners get paid? Well, we're all different. 99% of the people I work with don't charge any fees to. My company is unique where they actually pay me a salary. In a lot of firms, you'll probably never find that. I do make commission, but my commission is based off certain products I show you based off your goals, and I can outsource to any company in the country and get you the best deal. So if I say, okay, your goal is college funding for your kids, I find you the best plan, I show it to you, and you say, that's awesome. Thank you so much, and it's gonna help me a lot, and yes, I want to do it. So that company would pay me. The client never has to write me a check ever, never. So it's a little unique compared to other places, and that's why I love doing it so much, because I'm not running around with commission breath and trying to sell people things that aren't good for them, which I do see in my industry sometimes. I'm more about, like I said, educating and making sure people know there's a resource out there. That's what's most important to me.
Yeah. Now, do you guys do like extra training or trainings or kind of like basic finance teaching, stuff like that, classes?
Yeah, my company is great about that.
Yeah.
They do a lot of trainings, a lot of classes. I have mentors that are unbelievable. We're very team-based, which a lot of firms are not too. We all lean on each other. We all help each other. We work together. If I have any questions, they're more than happy to help at any time. It's unbelievable the team atmosphere we have in our company. We actually just won. We were rated number 4 by the Boston Globe as best small employer in Boston last year. So we're pretty excited about that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
We also won Best Advisors in Boston by expertise.com out of 150 firms that were rated. So that's really exciting too.
That's a good achievement.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And it's because of the company. Concord Wealth Management is run by John Laredo. He's amazing. He's very team-based approach. He's a great leader.
Yeah. And that leadership's important, like when you run a company. So I'm trying to. It's small, it's just me, but we'll get there. But, leadership and the vision and how you run the company is important. Mm-hmm. So it's good to see top down, a company that's kind of looking for that. It's cool.
It's really important. Yeah, he's great. We'll have quarterly meetings and we do all the boring stuff in the beginning, and then he makes it fun. He'll have fun presenters come in, but it's the boring stuff, the numbers, and then he'll take us all out. Like last time we went bowling together. That was cool. And we have Christmas parties, Halloween parties. He makes it very fun for everyone. But we work very, very, very hard. So he recognizes that, and he pays credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
But budgeting is huge. That's one of the first things that I focus on too with people. It's one of my first questions is, do you have an an active budget sheet going.
Yeah.
And most times people don't. So I send out free budgeting templates to people, and I say it's up to you at this point if you want to use it, but I recommend you use it. Live your life by it. But like you said, overspending. Overspending is huge in our country. I feel like the media really tries to push on us that we need brand new things. And actually, we don't really need brand new things. Same with, it's like emotional buying. You go buy a car, and you're like, I got a set budget. I'm only going to spend this much money. And then you go for a ride with a salesman in like a 2018 Cadillac, and you're like, this is nice. I could see myself driving this. Where do I sign? Oh, I can afford that. No problem. And then you get a statement a month later, and you're like, why did I do this? I can't pay this.
Yeah.
It's
And it runs back to what we were talking about. We live up to your means.
Yeah.
We're like, well, I just kind of got a raise, so if I work a couple extra hours a week, I can make that little bit more payment. And I'm guilty of this. I used to sell cars, so I'm guilty of the same thing.
Yeah.
And my general point is, if you come in telling me a price like this is how much I want to pay a month, I can generally bump you to about $150 more, as I'm usually pretty good about that. Yeah. So if you say $200, I can probably get you to about $350, and. And so I've been there. So I try not to do that anymore because I do this now instead, But I get it. So I'm guilty of that too. And I think across the board, you're talking about the media. Like, the media is really good at getting us to buy stuff. Advertisers have gotten considerably better at getting you to buy things. Yeah. I read a book. I forget what it was. I think it's Persuasion, it's called. And the book is literally about how to prep people to buy before they even talk to you. Like, they even know the pictures someone sees, like when they're engaging with you online, can have a big impact on if they buy with you or not. So you can prep people to be ready to buy beforehand. So we've gotten so much more advanced in our selling that it's easier to just slam products down your face.
Wow.
So just as you're saying, that overspending is a problem. Yeah. And because, you could buy the brand new phone with the brand new shoes and the brand new clothes on that store credit card you just picked up. Oh. And, then all of a sudden you're like, why can't I survive? Why am I in so much debt? And, well, that's why.
That's why. And you'd be surprised. A lot of people, there's people I'll meet with that make $500,000 a year, and they're in the same boat as someone that's making $30,000 a year. Mm-hmm. And that's what it is. They're not living within their means. They're getting store credit cards, and they're spending more money on things that they don't really necessarily need. They just want it.
Yeah. I
could want to live better later on in life and do things you want, or do you want to spend all your money now and have fun now? But then when you get to that point where you want to slow down, because there's going to be a point where people are going to have health problems. I mean, we age, we get old, we have health problems. We're going to have to pay for healthcare costs. We're going to want to not work, maybe do something we love. Maybe open a little shop or tinker with gadgets in our garages. And if you have nothing to fall back on, you're working your butt off right now, you're not saving anything to do those things later when you're tired, what are you going to do? Yeah.
And you're right, that's when people run into these problems where they're like, well, I need to keep working because I have nothing left, but you're like, you physically can't anymore. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, then it's just stress. Like, what do you do? Like, I have to work, I can't, and just that piling up of all these things throughout your life, and get that worked out early. Because I think we haven't touched on this, but a lot of people don't even bother thinking about retirement until they're like 30, 40, kind of hitting that 50 mark. But like, you should be thinking about that when you're teens and 20s. Yes. Like, you should begin working on retirement. Yep. And you need to address that early. Yep. It's important.
Absolutely. My son's 4, and I already started a retirement fund for him.
That's awesome.
The younger you start, but he can use this money for college, he can use it for a car, he can use it for a wedding. He doesn't have to wait. A lot of retirement plans, you have to wait till you're 59 and a half. I started one where he can take it out whenever he wants, or he can save it for retirement. It's up to him. Mm-hmm. But you're absolutely right. There's this story about this kid. He was a janitor, and he started saving for retirement in his early 20s. And when he went to retire, he had like $500,000 saved for himself because he started so young, and he was a janitor, and now he's doing okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
I love that story. I read it a lot. It's online all the time.
Yeah.
But a lot of people have this idea too, you know, when I talk to a lot of people in their 20s, you know, I don't need to start retirement. It's not a concern of mine. Well, actually, the younger you start, is the better off you're going to be later on in life instead of playing catch up. So I have people that are way older and they're playing the catch up game. So now that they're playing the catch up game, they got to invest way more money every single month. And now they have to live even further beneath their means. Whereas if they started in their 20s and just did a little bit, got themselves used to the saving, and then, you know, throughout life, they can, as they make more money and do better, they can keep putting more in, putting more in, putting more in. But then they don't have to worry about that catch-up game at the end, you know, in their 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you get run into that issue of compound interest, which is very basic concept. People don't understand it. And so I guess we can touch on it a little bit, but that starting early can have a huge impact moving forward, depending on how your interests are structured. But that's what someone like you is to kind of help people through that.
Yes.
So
Albert Einstein said compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world.
Yeah.
So that's pretty genius. I love that. You know, he knew it back then.
Yeah.
Compound interest is an amazing thing because it's investing your money into different companies, different places, different products, where it grows significantly better when compared to like a bank account.
Yeah.
Inflation is at almost 3%, and if your bank account is making less than 1, most of them make like 0.25%.
Mm-hmm.
You're actually losing money storing money into a bank account. That's not meant for an investment or a saving. That's meant to just have an emergency fund, pay your bills, to have, you know, money to go out, do some things here and there. That's what it's meant for. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Like that short-term emergency type deal is where you want cash and like kind of something that's a little more liquid. Yeah. But, you know, across the board, none of these things are holding up to inflation. Because I think I was listening to someone on the radio the other day, and we're talking about the increasing of interest rates that's going on right now, and the banks are increasing what they're paying you. So their profit margins are actually growing because they're on like bank accounts. They're not paying you anymore, which they're supposed to, but what they're charging interest rates is going up. So you have to look at these things and decide, what do you want to do with your money? Do you want to leave in a bank account and earn, like you said, like 0.5% a year, or do you want to do something with it? You know, hell, you take it out and burn it. It's about the same. You know.
Yeah, you don't want to end up losing money that you're saving. If there's ways, and there are ways to make your money work hard for you instead of you working so hard for your money, then why don't people do it? I don't understand it. A lot of them do, and a lot of them are like, no, I'm all set. Mm-hmm. But like I said earlier, people are afraid of what they don't understand. But that's where I step in, and I just say it doesn't have to be complex, doesn't have to be confusing. I will break this down for you very easily so that you understand it.
Yeah.
You know, with bank accounts too, great, you earn some interest, but guess what? You're going to get a bill in the mail next year for the interest that you earned. Yeah. The IRS wants their tax money.
Mm-hmm. And it's crazy. So I'm just going to, as I move into the second time we wrap the show up, I'm going to make a plea to everyone. Please reach out to someone, you know, whether it's Nicole or another financial planner. Get out there and learn money. You know, don't be afraid of it. I know it can be scary. It's this big boogeyman that people don't understand. It's important, and so many marriages and so many relationships and so many lives are just impacted by misuse of money, and they don't handle it well. And so just go out there, learn how to do it, learn what you're doing, find someone who does, and, you know, it'll benefit your life. So,
amen.
So, I think that's good.
Couldn't have said it better.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you.
So we're hitting that about half-hour mark or so.
Okay.
Is there anything you want to talk about real quick here, like general points, things we didn't discuss? So we covered some good things. You got your knowledge out. Just want to make sure if there's anything else you want to give to people.
There's a great website. It's called myworthforwomen.com, and it's a great resource. It'll help you figure out. There's so much on it that it's helpful. It'll help you figure out insurance needs, retirement calculators. It has women on there sharing their stories and their successes with financial education. And I encourage, even men to just reach out to it and, take a look at it. It's very, very helpful tool. And I'm happy to speak with anyone at any point too. Just my name's Nicole LeGuern. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, Nicole.LeGuern at cwm of newengland.com if you want to email. My phone number is listed on all the websites too. Happy to talk anytime.
Cool, awesome. Any books that you think are pretty important on the subject that you'd recommend?
Well, I do read a lot of books. I do a lot of audiobooks because I'm in my car a lot.
Yeah.
And they're not specifically on finance. I do a lot of self-education, leadership books. The one I'm listening to right now is called Extreme Ownership, and it was recommended to me.
I would have learned.
You do? No way.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's excellent. I love it. It's a great book. So I'm looking forward to getting to the end of that one.
Okay, awesome. So thank you so much for joining me today, Nicole. It's been good. I like talking finances. Like I said, I think it's important. I think there's a general problem in society where it's not being taught, and it's causing a lot of other issues that could be addressed if we just looked at it.
Definitely.
So
thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you guys so much, and until next time.
See ya.